Hi folks, coming to you this morning from the town of Ross, quite a historical town here in Tasmania. Behind me is the Ross Bridge. I'll swing around a moment and give you a good look at that. And then in front of me over here is what they call the female factory. This was a factory which was run by female convicts in the early convict days. It has a history of very harsh treatment of the prisoners there. Um, Thankfully, it's just ruins today, so it's just a memory, really, in terms of what's here. But let me swing the camera around and let you have a look around at this beautiful scenery here in Ross. So I'm sitting next to a beautiful pond here, across a field. In the background there, so it's quite a brisk morning this morning. I think we got down to 4 degrees on the way here. It's a nice balmy 5 degrees Celsius at the moment, so still a little bit chilly. But just a beautiful place to start the day. So moving on from Ross, we've travelled about another hour south on our way down to the bottom, and we've entered the town of Richmond, established back in 1824. And behind me here is the Richmond Bridge. I think it's probably the most photographed bridge in all of Tasmania. So the Richmond Bridge was constructed in that same era, sort of 1823 era, by the convicts. It still stands today, incredibly robust, beautifully constructed bridge actually, still in use today. And just a gorgeous scene here this morning. Again. Actually, gorgeous little spot here on the river. Just giving you a peek from the other side of the bridge. A little bit sunnier here, a little bit warmer. But again, you get to take in some of the scenery here. It's just a gorgeous little spot to stop. The car park's completely full. Plenty of cars here, plenty of tourists here checking out the bridge. Give you a broader angle on that. And with that, we leave Richmond and we're on the road again. So we've arrived at the Eaglehawk Neck area down south as we continue our trip towards Port Arthur. And I just wanted to stop to give you a peek at this. We're going to go down and check out the tessellated paveway down there. But you can start to see some samples of it just below me here. What a gorgeous spot this is. It's spectacular. So once again, Tassie has absolutely spoiled us with a picture perfect day. It's cold, it's a little chilly, but the sun is very warm and it's an absolutely perfect blue sky, magical surroundings. So we keep getting spoilt as we do these road trips. I think it's remarkable just how much the weather seems to play in our favour. So here we are at the tessellated paveway. I'm taken right back to our days in Donegal in Northern Ireland. There's a similar scene here. Just beautiful spot. A little bit slippery. Watching my step. And when I get out here, I'll do a pan so you can have a look at this gorgeous coastline we have here. Little bay over here. Remarkably calm waters. This beautiful little beach tucked away just in here. We made it successfully to Port Arthur, or the Port Arthur historical site. Port Arthur as a town was established back in 1830 to support the timber industry down here. And then from 1833 to 1877, what you see behind me here was a penal colony, and typically for repeat offenders and our most hardened criminals were kept down here at Port Arthur. We'll take a wander through the ruins later on, but first of all, we've booked to go on a little bit of a cruise. So I'll share some of that with you. So while we're waiting for our cruise, it's a little bit off from now, just give you a bit of a look down here on the water. Again, you can see it's just an absolutely spectacular day here. And a wonderfully gorgeous location in every way. I didn't capture any footage while we were doing the cruise, but I do recommend it. They provide really good information on the history of Port Arthur and the surrounding areas. There's a point over the other side that was put together for juveniles that were staying here, juvenile criminals. In the UK, the age of responsibility was age 7, and they had quite a few juniors here who were kind of aged between 9 and 15 that were going through penalties that they'd served, but they were trying to get them away from the adult populations where they were likely to be further corrupted. But yeah, along the cruise they give you some great information. It's a wonderful way to view the area as well. When you consider the age of this site and also the number of years it's been since it's effectively been derelict, it's incredibly well maintained. They've done a tremendous job in maintaining the grounds and keeping things safe and accessible. And one of the things that I really love about it is they've got these little stones everywhere that'll tell the story about a single convict and what their situation was. In this case, Anne Wilson that they talk about, she's a real larrikin, kind of drunk and badly behaved and so forth. And there's another dimension to the whole experience of being here to see these stories. The sheer scale of the site is actually quite deceptive as well. I know when I was back here in 1980, we had limited time to look around, and I had a sense of the size of it, but frankly, we just scratched the surface of what we saw here. And the more I'm exploring today, the more I'm discovering just how much there is to see here. It's incredible. And I guess the thing you have to remember about this place is that this wasn't just a jail. This was an entire fully functioning community with all the services that you expect to find in a community. So there's a lot to it in terms of the different buildings and their purposes on the site. Now you may have detected the site's not flat by any stretch of the imagination. There's a lot of hills, a lot of stairs, a lot of uneven stairs. A lot of the stairs, the original stairs, and they've worn at different rates, and so it's quite odd sometimes in terms of the path you got to take. So be prepared to do some huffing and puffing when you're walking around here, because there's definitely some climbing and descending involved. For a place with such a horrid history, in fact, as a prison, it is just a gorgeous place to walk on a wonderful day like today. It's so beautiful. These little bits of water around us, little waterfalls, well, rapids more than that, and trees. As you can see, the light's quite low with the sun. The shadows are quite pretty as well. It's just adorable to look at. So what's becoming so apparent is the last time I was here, by the way, about 45 years ago, we missed so much of this place. We were hurried, of course, on a bus tour and so forth. But there's an entire set of cottages over here that I don't recall seeing. There's a secondary jail off the back here that I didn't realise was there. And then there's this wonderful garden over the back here as well, which is just beautiful, which we also didn't see at the time. So, and we won't get to do it all today. It's just not going to be practical. So we'll be back for sure. Now I'm going to presume that all of my Australian viewers and some of my international viewers know that there's also a dark story of more recent times with regard to Port Arthur. So April 1996, a man whose name I won't mention, Australians don't tend to mention his name, came to Port Arthur, disturbed, and with a number of firearms, took the lives of 35 people, and 26 more were injured here at Port Arthur and also some sites nearby. He's serving a life sentence with no possibility of parole, understandably. And this section I'm about to turn my camera around for is a memorial to those who were victims of that horrible incident back in 1996. Now, if there is a positive story to share in relation to that event, it's that in response to that event, Australia took the very strong action with significantly majority support from the general public to impose new laws with regard to firearms, semi-automatic firearms, pistols and so forth, outlawing those. The government implemented a buyback scheme, and we dramatically reduced gun ownership in this country and also implemented significant controls in terms of who can own a gun and how it has to be stored and so forth. And as a result of that, we really haven't had a mass shooting since 1996. So quite a remarkable outcome from that horrific event. And at the risk of being political, I can't help acknowledge the fact that other countries have done similar things and seen similar results. Other countries have had horrific events and have imposed new regulations and new controls with regard to the ownership and use of firearms, and equally they've seen dramatic changes, positive changes in terms of the number and the impact of firearms as a weapon and criminals getting their hands on them. Sadly, there's still one country that's got a horrific problem that we all know about that doesn't seem to be able to go down that path because of their constitution. I don't know whether that will ever change, but I absolutely feel fortunate to live in a country that was able to take such a horrible event and react with such unity and deliver such an improvement of our circumstances here. So there's a lesson there that I feel like we learnt. There are definitely people nipping at their heels who'd like to change the laws to provide more liberties, but at this stage I think the bulk of Australians feel the same way, and that is that we will continue to want very strict laws and regulations with regard to firearms ownership and use. Thank goodness. And as I said, we don't talk about the man, I'll call him a man, criminal who committed this crime here at Port Arthur, but we certainly do name those who were lost, and we remember those who are lost with great sorrow, and you can see their names listed here. Well, just to finish our day on a much brighter tone, we have successfully navigated our way through Hobart, found our hotel and got ourselves settled, and we're about to go and have dinner with two wonderful people in Salamanca. Looking forward to it, and then looking forward to another fabulous day tomorrow. Hope you're having a great day wherever you are. See you soon.